Hey guys, this video I'm going to be showing you how you can buy and sell your first ever shoe when getting started with sneaker reselling. So first off, just want to preface this. I have a little bit of experience reselling. I've done over $2 million in sales. So I'm going to cover everything you need to know to get started, whether it's online sourcing, in-store sourcing, going for your first raffle. We're going to cover all three things in depth. I'm also going to give you guys the pros and cons of each, because believe me, there are pros and cons of each. And especially if you're just someone who has never sold a shoe before, has no experience, I'm going to help you buy and sell your first shoe in this video. All right, so let's get into it. The number one thing you have to do is get your mind prepared and mentally ready. What I mean by that is you're starting your first business. So things are going to be different, right? For a normal job, let's say you work somewhere, you make 20 bucks an hour. So every hour worked is $20 that you'd be given in your paycheck, right? For reselling and running your own business, it's way different. You might work 30 hours, but only get paid nothing. In fact, you might lose money for working 30 hours. There's a ton of businesses that lose money, all right? So we have to get into the mindset to realize like, hey, even if we put in a ton of work, it's going to take a ton of work. It's going to take a ton of effort. And we try our hardest, but we might not always succeed, okay? The important thing is never to quit, because I've failed tons of times. And although I have the mindset and knowing that, hey, it's okay if I fail, I'm always going to continue. There's a quote I really like from Nelson Mandela, which is, I never lose. I either win or I learn. And the key fact is, as long as we're alive, as long as I'm not buried, I don't have a tombstone, right? I'm still here. I'm always going to be learning, because that means I can take that life lesson and use it like further on in the future, right? However, you can lose if you don't learn from your failures and you make them over and over and over again, all right? But in this video, I'm going to be giving you guys some quick steps on how to actually succeed right away. All right, so let's get back to what I was saying earlier. There's three different ways that you can really resell. These are the three and really only ways that you can flip right now, which is raffles, which is our like upcoming releases, hype drops, stuff like that, in-store sourcing and online sourcing, right? And online and raffles as well as in-store raffles kind of go together, because you can get raffles in-store and online, but it's a little bit separate. So I'm going to cover that as separate. First, let's start off with in-store, which is how I first made my first dollar ever reselling. In-store sourcing is great because you get the product that same day. You can look at it right then and there to see what it is. In fact, you can buy a bunch in bulk as well. There's so many different ways you can resell in-store. You can go to Ross, Marshalls, Nike, Adidas, New Balance, any store, any retail store. If you're going in person and buying it, that is an in-store source. The only downside of it is there's only what's available there. So let's say you wanted a size 12 of a certain shoe, but they don't have it. Well, you're out of luck, right? That's not something that you can get. Versus online, there's usually more shoes and sizes available. Second is online. Online sourcing is great. However, the discounts aren't nearly as good as in-store. The reason that is because online prices are nationwide, right? Versus in-store can be specific locations. They can have specific products, right? Online, way more competition, a little bit harder to source from. But with that being said, you can get way more in bulk and you don't have to go anywhere. You can sit at your computer like I am right now, buy a bunch of shoes, ship it to your house. It's awesome. And I recommend doing both, all right? But when talking about, finding your first shoe online and first shoe to resell, it's good to do a mixture of both. And I'm going to cover again later on in this video, give you guys some examples of both. And then third and finally are raffles. Raffles are really cool and they're hype releases, right? So these depend more on luck than skill. And it's more of information of knowing when these shoes are going to be releasing. So for example, I'll use in this video, there's some Kith shoes that are releasing. I think it's the Super Villain pack is what they're calling it. I believe there's 5 different pairs that are releasing. And pretty much each and every one of these, I believe, will make you around $100 in profit if you're able to land a pair. So we'll go with that first as an example. I'm going to cover the Kith release right now so you guys can see what this is. And Kith isn't the only shoe and place that drops these types of stuff. These raffles happen every single week. These raffles, if you get good at them, I believe in my heart that you can make up to 500 bucks a month very easily if you just hit raffles and you're informed on it, right? Some months are going to be higher, some months are going to be lower, and raffles are definitely the most inconsistent method in this video, because on a day like today, which I'm recording this on a random Thursday, there was no releases today. There'd be nothing good to go for. You can't really make money today, right? But on a day like, I don't know, let's say next week when whatever shoe drops, then you have the opportunity to, so it's a little bit, less consistent compared to in-store or online sourcing, because those are stuff where you can just go and find good stuff. But you can still make good money with this. All right, so here we are on StockX. This is a random release that Kith had. Same thing I was just talking about earlier. This thing dropped for $195. You can see right now it's selling for like $500 to $600. That's what's listed at $600. That's an example of random release. This type of stuff happens. Obviously, this isn't a shoe. I'm going to show you guys a shoe example right now. All right, so here we are looking at the Kith Venom Spider-Man shoe. This shoe is set to release tomorrow. So at the time of this video, tomorrow for $350. It is currently reselling for $2,000. There's a bid at $650, meaning you could sell it right now at $650. This shoe will probably resell around $500, $600. So you would easily make $100 to $200 on this flip. In fact, it might even be more than that when they do release. And it's just a cool release, right? These raffles come out, they get dropped. This is the type of stuff, that is super easy when you start reselling. But again, you're not guaranteed to get a drop. There's gonna be a ton of people going for these. And if you hit a pair, you're lucky you make some good money. So this is a great pair to sell, especially when you're first starting reselling, to get your first sale. It's like if you can land stuff like this, which newsflash, most of you guys can if you start and you sign up for multiple accounts and you enter in as much raffles as possible, you can hit this stuff and make money from it. However, it's not very consistent. But again, in this video, we just want to help you get your first sale. This is a perfect example. All right, next, let's look at an online example, which just actually happened this week, which were these Yeezy restocks. They restocked a bunch of Yeezys for up to 70% off, which is crazy. This shoe right here was $66. All right, and you can see I had a client sell a bunch of them on GOAT and StockX here, 190, 123. Like, these are really good profits when you're only paying, again, 66 bucks. He actually ended up making over $380 just from selling 5 pairs. Now, with online deals, they often go in and out of stock very quickly, which, you know, can obviously happen. But these are still in stock here. These ones are $81. It retailed $230. So it's very, very cheap, as you can tell. And, you know, this would be a really, really good flip as well. A lot of these are going for up to 150 depending on the size. And this is the type of stuff that you can buy online that is sitting, you know, any day, right? And this is just the example this week. The thing with reselling is there's new trends and things and releases and sales that happen every single week and every single day, honestly. So you have to be up to tune and pay attention for this type of stuff. That's where like our server helps out, because we send out links to our guys daily, so they don't even have to look. They can just buy whatever, you know, on sale and in trend. And that's what I do, and that's what helps me, right? But either way, this would be a good example of an online one because it's just sitting here for cheap. And like I said, these were also examples of online ones. We had we had clients spend literally thousands of dollars because it was such a good sale with Easy. And, you know, that's an online example. Again, you can buy it online, ships to your house. Only downside with online is it takes a little bit of time to get to your house. So you have some money tied up then. But that's really it. If you can, you know, avoid that and be okay with that, you're gonna make a lot of money. All right, so next, and my personal favorite, is in-store sourcing. In-store is where I made my first ever flip. It was from a Ross. I went to a Ross. I found a pair of Kith New Balances, found 2 pairs of them, and I sold them for $300. I paid $25 each. So I made really, really good money on those. Sold them both for $300 each. So I had a huge flip on that. That's what really got me hooked into reselling. I have clients that still do the same thing. That is almost the easiest way to resell, because shoes at Kith and Ross, or not Kith, Ross, Marshalls, those type of stores, Burlington, are very, very cheap. They're already discounted to $20, $25, 50 bucks. They are super cheap, and you can make really, really good money on it. Here's an example from a guy in our group about 2 days ago. Spent $20 each on these at Marshalls. Again, this was an in-store find. And again, these are high-end soccer cleats. You can find these high-end soccer and football cleats. You can find these at Marshalls in stores like this because they sell these types of cleats. He sold these ones for 200 bucks. He sold this pair for 160. This pair for 160 as well. And then this one for 180. So again, really, really, really good flips, all found at his Marshalls. And that's kind of the idea of the reselling stuff, right? He ended up making over $700 from this because he spent 80 and sold it for, I think it was 800. So it was like a huge flip. This is the type of stuff that you like to do and that you should like to do. I'm also going to throw on the screen right now an example of some of the things I found earlier this week. These LeBrons. I found these LeBrons at a local Nike outlet, and they were, I think, what was it on the screen? 70 bucks plus 30% off plus 15. So if you just got the 30, they'd be $49. With the 15, you get a little bit cheaper. And this is a shoe that sells for, you know, $100 on platforms like eBay. The lowest that I'll sell for is 80 bucks. But again, if you pay 50, you sell it for 80, you're still making a really, really great profit on this shoe because of the price you paid. Again, in this video, we're just trying to help you sell your first shoe. So I'd be totally happy if you bought a shoe for 50 bucks and sold it for 70 even, made just $20. I'd be ecstatic for you because you'd be making, again, a 40% ROI, which is really solid. That's what we shoot for long term. Then you just what's the word I'm looking for? Up the numbers, right? You're trying to sell more and more and more, because when you do more, you sell more sales, more volume. That's where you end up making more money over time. So yeah, those are pretty much the 3 ways that you can get started reselling shoes. And those are the easiest ways as well. I gave you some examples of online sourcing. I gave some examples of in-store sourcing, as well as raffles. And if you guys want more in-depth videos on those topics specifically, I have videos on my YouTube. Just look them up. You guys will find them. And there are really in-depth for online sourcing, really in-depth for in-store sourcing. And I show examples like in-depth, everything that I buy, what I sell. It's going to be perfect for you guys. But that is really all that you need to do. Now, if you're someone who's just starting out, doesn't know what to do, wants to do this as risk-free as possible, there's always going to be risk with anything that you do, right? Even waking up in the morning, right? But as risk-free as possible, go with the raffles. A lot of these raffles have return policies. They have all of those things that really protect you. And raffles are pretty much guaranteed. Like those kits I was showing you guys, those are going to resell. If you hit a pair, you're making money. It's as simple as that, right? It's not really like a luck thing. There's no skill of buying a shoe cheap. It's like, no, if you hit a pair, you're gonna make money. So those are the best ones to hit when you're starting out. It takes no skill. Problem is they're hard to duplicate. But yeah, that's all that you need to know. And I wish you luck on finding and buying your first pair of shoes. If you need help selling, you don't know how to sell any of these platforms yet or how to look up shoes, again, check out my YouTube videos. I have guides on StockX, GOAT, eBay, every single channel, every single selling platform that you need to learn. It's on there, all right? If you guys need help with anything else, feel free to shoot me a message on Instagram. I'd love to help you guys. If you found value in this video, like and comment down below. And I'll see you guys in the next.